Today, we become legends.
Today's Titan Talk went over the full balance notes for OB20, as well as some interesting questions about green buff, crossovers, and slash. So without further ado, let's jump into the recap. So first up, those balance changes for OB20. There's a few item changes in this patch, all being nerfs, with the Rip Talon losing 5% attack speed and getting a 200 gold cost increase. Vital Amplifier loses 2.5% attack speed per stack, so 7.5% total at max stacks. One of the biggest nerfs of the patch is for Sanguine Lash, as its passive and active damage will no longer provide lifesteal. These next three item changes were very last minute based on ambassador discussions, so they're not on the notes, but they were discussed on the show. Linnean Bow is losing 10% damage per hit of the active, and its cooldown is going up from 20 seconds to 30. Pendulum Blade is getting a 250 gold cost increase, and finally, Polynomicon is getting a 150 gold cost increase, and the int scaling is being nerfed from 65% down to 60. Moving on to god changes though, first up we have Ares, who's getting a change to his ultimate so it no longer cripples on cast. This was mainly in place when leaps had CC buffering, as people could buffer their leap to negate Ares ult, but since that's no longer a thing, this component of his ultimate isn't as needed. It does have some other applications, of course, preventing people jumping away, interrupting movement channeled abilities like Fenrir's Brutalize, but the main reason it was there was for CC buffering on leaps. Speaking of Fenrir, he's getting a nerf to his 2 in both regular and aspect, with the lifesteal going down from 12% flat to 8% scaling up to 10 based on rank. Hades ult is getting an optimization fix where it was causing bad FPS drops for some people when he started the ability. Hui's jump is getting a nerf to its range on the leap portion of the ability from 8.8 meters to 7.2. Jingwei's 1 is getting a change, which I think is a revert, so that walking into a 1 after it's deployed will now do the full damage and knock up rather than the smaller version the first time you walk into it. Nuwa is getting a small buff where her 1 stealth now lets you pass through other characters. This is Smite 1 parity. Morrigan is getting the same change to her stealth, and also her 1 no longer resets her attack chain. Barry is getting some buffs to her 1 with a small damage increase of 5 up to 25 based on rank, and a cooldown reduction from 15 scaling down to 13. It's now just 13 seconds at all ranks. Wukong is getting a nerf to his passive stats. The protections per level are going down from 2 to 1.5, and the strength and intelligence per level is going down from 1.5 to 1. So at level 20, that's a nerf of 10 of each protections and 10 strength and intelligence. Thanatos is getting a fix that's functionally a buff. Kills from Hovering Death previously weren't triggering his passive cooldown refund or on-kill items like Jotun's Wrath, so that's been fixed and will now work. Tsukuyomi is getting some real nerfs this time. They took 15 base damage off of his 2 last update, but of course that didn't do anything. This time they're going a little bit further. His 1 is losing 10 base damage and 10% of both scalings, and his ultimate cooldown is going up from 90 seconds to 100. Jibalanke is getting some pretty major nerfs, with his poison darts losing 5% int scaling base, as well as 5% strength and 5% int off of the tick damage. His ultimate's attack speed buff is going from 20 up to 60, it's now 20 up to 52%, and the aspect ultimate is getting a nerf as well to its ability damage amp. From 10 to 30%, it's now 10 to 22%. Well, that's it for the balance changes for this update. Let's move into the Q&A section of the show. The Steam discount not working on Founders Edition upgrades was brought up, and Kilgun said the person who would normally handle that kind of stuff is out on sick leave at the moment, but if that issue isn't resolved, they'll likely run another sale afterwards for the upgrades for those that couldn't get it during the Steam sale. Someone asked why Loki's aspect was not just bringing back his original kit, and Kilgun said that Loki was reworked for a reason, and they didn't want to bring back such a frustrating kit to the game, which I 100% agree with. Some characters were reworked for a good reason, and bringing back their old playstyle, whether as an aspect or base kit, is probably a bad idea. Loki is one of those gods. There was a question on when we'll get some new active items, and Hindu said that's something they're always working on, and they will add more items and rework items and stuff over time, just like they did in Smite 1. Kilgun said he does have an internal document of active item ideas that might be worth trying out, but he did say that active items are generally a bit harder to make than passive ones, because they are essentially making a god ability in terms of needing audio, effects, animations, all that kind of stuff. Someone asked if the new daily chest could drop prisms for skins you don't own, and Kilgun said as it's set up right now, the chest can't drop prisms in general, but basically every skin except Saga skins in the game will drop from it, and the full list of items and drop chances will be viewable in-game once the patch drops. Crossovers were brought up, and Kilgun said he has been doing a small amount of research and cold calling in regards to crossovers for Smite 2 and would love to get back to them at some point, but right now a lot of their focus is on porting gods and adding core gameplay features. Crossovers are a lot of work, all things considered, and if they did one right now, it could impact the release schedule of gods or features that the game really needs. Later on, someone asked what the best performing crossovers have been for Smite 1, and Kilgun said that TMNT performed weirdly well on PlayStation specifically, less so on other platforms, but very well on PS. Overall though, he said it was almost certainly Avatar that has performed the best. He didn't have the exact data on hand, but Avatar was definitely among the best performers and probably the best. Slash was brought up again, and Kilgun said personally he does love Slash and did love Clash and Siege, but it's just a matter of priorities right now and pleasing the most amount of players with the time that they have. Right now, they would rather focus on updates to Conquest rather than adding Slash due to the much higher percentage of the player base that play Conquest. Never say never, and they would like to revisit Slash at some point, but that time is not right now. And finally, someone asked about green buff, and Kilgun said it is something they've discussed and they're not opposed to it. They are aware of the feedback, but they feel like right now with how the buff system is, it's a little bit different from Smite 1. It's not as necessary for every role to have a dedicated buff due to the rotating buff camps and potentially stacking multiple buffs onto one player, stuff like that. But that's everything discussed on today's Titan Talk. Don't forget to drop a like before you leave, and I'll catch you guys for another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.